At 36,000 feet above the Earth, silence is not peaceful, it is pressurized. The engines hum, the tray tables click, the flight attendants smile. But outside that thin window pane, there is something else. A presence. One that does not blink, breathe, or belong. The man sitting by the window wasn't filming for anything special. Just clouds, vast and endless, like ocean foam frozen in the sky. His lens captured a horizon soaked in pale blue. And then it was there, a pale, oval-shaped object, not drifting with the clouds, not moved by the wind, just fixed. Watching, its edges were too smooth, unnatural in their precision, its color. A shade of white that didn't reflect the sun, it absorbed it. There were no fins, no markings, no shimmer of metal, just an eerie opacity like the body of a creature not made for light. He didn't speak, not at first. Not to his friend beside him, not to the camera. He just stared, frozen, not from fear, but from a strange recognition. Like when something forgotten suddenly returns and it knows your name. When he finally whispered, "There's something out there." The words trembled through the cabin like a current no one else could feel. By that time, the object was already receding. Not vanishing with a flash or speed, but fading. Like mist being folded into the air itself. Almost like it hadn't been seen, but allowed itself to be seen. Online, the footage was torn apart. A plastic bag, too high, too still. A droplet of water. Then where was the distortion? The drag across the glass. Some experts pointed to compression artifacts. Others noted how the video began mid-frame, skipping the natural hand movement of turning the camera on. What was trimmed? Why did the object appear instantly, perfectly framed in the lower corner of the screen? The most unnerving detail, barely discussed, was how the object didn't move. But the man adjusted the camera, as if responding to something already looking back. No official report was filed. No radar data released. No mainstream news alert. But in forums and dimly lit channels, the term returned again. The watchers, not visitors, not crafts, but observers, invisible until they're not. Not here to interfere, only to witness. And now more passengers were joining the story, accidentally, quietly, capturing glimpses of something they never asked to see. The sky had always been vast, but suddenly it felt occupied. Michelle Reyes was no stranger to airports. Her job had her flying weekly, coast to coast, continent to continent. She'd seen it all: lightning storms from above, sudden drops in pressure, even a bird strike once. But nothing like this. The plane was descending into New York. The lights of the city shimmered like spilled electricity. Below, the Hudson snaked through Manhattan, glowing gold in the winter dusk. And then, outside the right window, just above the wing, a shape emerged, black, long, cylindrical, completely still. No blinking lights, no visible motion. It didn't bank or tilt. It wasn't held up by wings. It was just there, a cold monolith hovering at exactly the same speed and altitude as the aircraft. Michelle blinked, then gasped. Her hand went to her phone instinctively. What she captured would become one of the most debated 15-second clips on the internet. At 2,500 feet, no drone should be flying. Too high, too dangerous. And yet here it was, moving in perfect sync as if tracking the plane or escorting it. She zoomed in. The object showed no seams, no panels. Its surface was smooth, almost like obsidian glass reflecting nothing. It gave off no vibration, no electromagnetic interference. And perhaps that was what made it more terrifying. There was no technology to detect. Michelle submitted the footage to the FAA. They never responded. No acknowledgement. No denial, but others did respond. Thomas Wertman from MUFON watched the footage carefully. He slowed it down frame by frame. The object did not change angle, did not rise or fall. It hovered with surgical steadiness until near the final frame. It simply vanished into haze, not like an object leaving frame, like something turning off. It did not rise, it did not fall, it ceased. Theories flooded in. A cloaked surveillance drone, a radar-absorbing military pod. But why follow a commercial jet? Why at that altitude? Why disappear without a trace? And why, out of all the hundreds on board? Was Michelle the only one who looked outside? At the right moment. Some would say coincidence, others would say invitation. A perfect flight until the shadow came. It moved like a wound tearing through the clouds. Black, fast, smoky, too linear to be natural, too silent to be from any engine. Carrie Fitz was mid-sentence, chatting lazily with the stranger beside her when something caught her eye. She turned to the window, and her voice simply stopped. A streak of dark matter sliced across the horizon, barely missing the edge of the wing. It left behind a smear of smoke, long, trailing, dissolving like it had been burned into the air itself. She fumbled for her phone, hands trembling. What she recorded was brief, only seconds, but enough to show that something had crossed their path. Moving against the wind, ignoring turbulence, and leaving no signature except dread. Some said it was a jet's contrail seen at an angle. Others argued it was camera glitching under sudden light changes. But Carrie remembered what she saw. There was nothing before it. No warning, no sound. And the strangest part, the cloud it passed through never reformed, as if something had carved into the sky and the sky hadn't healed. At 34,000 feet over Spain, the cabin was quiet. Dinner trays had been cleared, the lights dimmed. The hum of the engine blended with the stillness. Then came the swerve, sudden, violent. The plane tilted, sharply veering left, sending drinks flying and hearts pounding. Gasps filled the air. Someone screamed. But it was over in seconds. No announcement came from the cockpit, just tense silence. One passenger, seated over the wing, had been filming the sunset. By sheer chance, her camera caught it. A flash. A glinting, shifting object darting toward the plane from the right. It wasn't a missile. It wasn't metallic. It was crystalline. Like a shard of fractured glass, twisting and refracting light in geometric patterns that made no sense. Its shape wasn't constant. It rippled, folded, like it existed just slightly out of sync with the rest of reality. The prism came within what looked like meters of the aircraft, then shot vertically, disappearing into cloud. It made no sound. It cast no shadow. But for those seconds, it existed. And it was coming straight for them. Radar saw nothing. The airline report made no mention, but the footage, frame by frame, said otherwise. What kind of object reflects light in angles that don't obey geometry? What kind of thing moves like a thought but leaves motion behind? The night sky was unusually clear as Lucas Kim looked out from seat 27F stars above. Black ocean below. Nothing in between, or so he thought. Then, like candles being lit in the dark, 6 small lights appeared beyond the wing. Perfectly spaced, perfectly still. They hovered in formation, glowing a soft, pale green, not blinking like aircraft beacons, not flickering like reflections, but pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. Lucas stared, frozen. He zoomed in. The lights weren't reflections. They were too far from the window. They had depth, motion, intent. Then they moved, not toward or away, not left or right. They fractured. From one perfect line, they split into 3 pairs, spinning outward in spirals before shooting upward like fireflies escaping gravity. Within seconds, the sky was empty again, but the feeling remained that they hadn't left, just phased out. People online called them drones, but drones don't move in mathematical silence, and they don't pulse like they're alive. Lucas still watches the footage sometimes, frame by frame. He's never seen stars move like that. He's never felt a presence so synchronized. The flight from Bogota to Santo Domingo was halfway across the Caribbean when it happened. A passenger filming clouds for a time lapse caught something unexpected. Not a bird, not a plane. A sliver of silver, sharp, needle-thin, slicing through the clouds with surgical precision. It didn't bob or sway like a drone. It didn't shimmer like metal. It cut, like it was dragging reality open behind it. Its movement was impossibly smooth. No engine noise, no exhaust, no sign of propulsion, and it maintained perfect speed with the aircraft just offset by distance, close enough to see, far enough to deny. The footage zooms in. The object moves across the sky in a line too perfect for human hands. Then, as it passes the final wisp of cloud, it simply ceases to exist, not out of frame, not sped away, gone, as if it had finished what it came to do and left between seconds. The aircraft trembled, not from turbulence, but from something that passed it too close. It happened over Western Europe on a Ryanair flight just after takeoff. The sky was overcast, visibility low, but still the pilots saw it. A black shape, thin, angular, darted past the wing at what must have been hundreds of miles per hour. And behind it, a trail of dark smoke curling unnaturally like ink in water. Inside, the passengers felt the jolt, the sharp turn. The gasps. One woman dropped her coffee. Another whispered a prayer. But no one knew what had almost hit them, except the passenger recording out the window. The footage showed the object cutting through the mist like a blade, leaving behind a trail that didn't behave like ordinary exhaust. It bent and coiled in the air unnaturally, as if the smoke had intelligence. Later, slowed down frame by frame, it revealed something else. The object wasn't just fast, it wasn't just black. It shifted as it moved, stretching, condensing, like a dart made of liquid metal reacting to air it didn't seem part of. No official report, no air traffic advisory. Just shaken passengers, and a haunting clip that keeps being taken down and reuploaded. Some say it was a near miss with a drone. But what kind of drone leaves a trail like smoke but vanishes like steam? And why, when the pilot saw it, did he look terrified? It didn't have wings, it didn't have form, it had movement. Somewhere above the Pacific, a businessman gazed out his window after midnight. The cabin was dark. The stars pinpricks in the blackness, then something blocked them. At first he thought it was a cloud, but the edges were too clean, too deliberate. He watched as the shape, an amorphous silhouette, mimicked the plane's speed, staying just behind the wing. It writhed, not like smoke, not like mist, but like flesh without bone. It pulsed in sections as if breathing, its outer membrane stretching in rhythm. Light played strangely across its surface, not reflecting but absorbing, like a creature trying to stay invisible but failing. For 7 full minutes it remained, pacing the jet, observing. Then, without warning, it folded into itself like crumpling paper and disappeared in a blink. The footage, shaky and incomplete, shows only a silhouette backlit by the stars. But its presence cannot be explained by clouds, tricks of light, or imagination. It wasn't tech, it wasn't craft, it was something else. Something that moved like thought but left ripples in the world. 10 sightings, 10 flights, 10 moments where the sky opened just enough to show what hides behind it. Each story may seem isolated, each passenger just a random witness. But the patterns are growing, more footage, more encounters. And yet no answers. Governments remain silent. Pilots are warned not to speak. Airlines erase records. And most people just look away, but those who saw, those who recorded, remember. Because what they saw wasn't fantasy. It wasn't mistake. It was contact, not loud, not violent, but intentional. A silent presence moving between flights, between clouds, between dimensions, not coming down from the sky, but always having been there. watching, waiting. Until now, when we've started to watch back, this is X site, and the sky will never look the same again.